Should you learn to code in 2024? It's a topic that has been on a lot of minds, both software engineers and non-devs alike, especially if you're trying to learn how to get into software development. And I will spare you the dramatics here and just say flat out, yes, you should, but it's probably not for the reasons that you might just be thinking. Salutations and fist bumps, folks. Yes, again, I did say that you should learn to code, but the reasons why are slightly different than everyone else might be talking about. Because my first reason, and really the overall arching reason for this video, is software engineering actually helps you develop the muscle of saying no. Now, look, I understand that we all might want to get or keep a software engineering job because we get paid a lot to do with the things that we do. But in that same regard, there's still an art to how software is created. And most of the time, humans are not very clear about being clear. Now, exactly what does that mean? I'm glad you asked. I'll explain. Give me a second. Now, what I mean by humans are not good at being clear is while writing software, you're writing it for humanity, or at least I would hope so for the majority of humanity. So you're trying to solve human problem. And most of the time, we don't know what we want. Because if you've been in this field for any amount of time, you know, talking with clients, stakeholders, and anyone else that is not technical, it is a work in progress. Let's just put it like that. Because they have to give you something in terms of a requirement spec or something to that nature, depending on the company that you work for. They have to give you something that usually might not even be completely thought out, but it seems to make money until it doesn't. And now you have to come back to the table with everyone else at the round table with you and actually hammer out what needs to be there and doesn't, so that the software actually does become successful and profitable for, again, the humanity that we're trying to serve. And a good software engineer will be able to see the pitfalls well before the pitfalls actually become a detriment to the company. And that's the skill that I believe has been way underplayed in this current market of talking about AI taking over everything. But I say again, the skill of learning how to code and specifically learning how to be a software engineer in the levels that you actually have to communicate in, it teaches you how to say no to things that are not a priority in software engineering, in your job, and in life. But I hear your question. Won't Devin just be able to do that for the company anyway? Have you used AI recently? Because unless it's clearly a no-fly zone for the AI to not write code in that particular situation, it will give you what you asked it for and keep going. And it probably won't even care about all of the existential things that happen around a business, like, again, intellectual property or something like that, that we now have to make sure that we don't overstep or do things on top of, so that, again, we don't get sued as a company. Now, in simple terms, what I'm saying is it's probably not going to tell you no, at least majority of the time while you're building the software, as you, at least in this case, if you're doing it with a thing like Devin. And again, oftentimes it will probably write software in a black box unless you give it a whole lot of context in terms of what it should not do, which then, if it doesn't do exactly what you need it to do and it steps over on intellectual property of someone else's company, then you need a software engineer to actually rectify that. And that becomes the snake eating its tail. It literally just keeps on going. Plus, add on all of the huge amounts of tech debt and things that we have to understand as a company, like where is our data coming from? Do we have reliable data at all? All of the things that you have to understand while writing code and writing it for humanity are things that we have to take into consideration that we are just not there yet for. Like, there are so many variables that we have to figure out before we deploy this thing out into the wild and tell it to do things. I mean, anybody ever seen Terminator?
Oh my God. listen to me very carefully.
Let's just take that as a far-fetched example at this point. Security is the main thing that we have to understand while writing code. Yeah, it's just way too far out right now to actually say that that's going to actually be a thing right now. It's a lot that we still need to talk about, okay? Now, with all that said, plus, if you do learn the code now in this year, you can build your own company if you wanted to. Again, understanding the things that we talked about with security and all that kind of stuff before. Now, that's not to say that out of the box, you're just going to be able to build a hardened company and all that kind of stuff. That's still going to take some time to actually learn that stuff. But the thing is, you're learning it now. And as you learn it, you'll be able to create things that will produce good in the world, the good that you actually want to see. Because even if you are learning to code to go into a software development job at a big company or a big tech company or something like that, what you will find out is most of them leave you wanting more in terms of contributing to the world, because at the end of the day, you're building someone else's dream and not your own. And especially now with the skills that you will build in terms of learning how to program, again, there's way more things to that than just the code. But with the skills that you're learning now, you can literally step out into the world, as scary as that might sound, and change it for the better. Now, of course, as a developer, you will find out that ideas will come a dime a dozen, but start writing those down and filter out the things that actually are a situation in your own life that you will want to have a solution for, and then go build that. And that then, my friend, is where you will find gold. And if you know how to program, and especially if you learn how to program in the age of AI, you will actually be able to interact with them on the ground floor and create stuff that actually is meaningful to the world, because you can actually interact with LLMs on the ground floor and build as a solo dev. A devpreneur, if you will. And by the way, that's exactly what this channel is all about, helping aspiring devpreneurs like myself as well to find their way forward. So yeah, learn to code, because in the long run, it doesn't hurt you if you do, especially if you're going to one day build your own thing or your own company. Because at least from what I've found, even in the age of AI, and I've been programming for a while at this point, and what I've seen recently is that learning how to code actually just enriched my life for the better. I learned way more and actually saw, oh, this is actually a thing that actually propels my life forward. Now, if you are one of those devpreneurs that I talked about and you are trying to figure out what you should spend your time on in terms of learning a specific coding language, I created a video talking about 5 things that you should spend your time on. You can check that video out right up here. And if you already know that you might want to go into something data related, go ahead and check out this Python walkthrough right up here. And until then, y'all be smooth, blurred out.